All right, here we go. So first off, we're going to talk about circle graphs. All right, what's another way we can say circle graphs?
Pie.
Pie charts, yeah, or pie graphs, kind of all the things. All right, big thing with circle graphs today is that we can use circle graphs with categorical data. That's a really big part of circle graphs, is it's categorical. What does categorical mean again? It's categorized. So what kind of questions might we be asking where we get categorical data? Yeah, like what grade are you in? Ice cream flavors. What'd you say, Ruby? Your favorite sport. Good. Beautiful. You guys are rock stars. All right. And big thing with circle graphs is we are going to be comparing parts to whole by using percents. Need a pencil? Perfect, I saw that. All right, you're going to get glue in. You're going to glue this in either on the left or the right side. Maybe leave one little line above it, depending on how much space you have on yours. We're going to read a circle graph, and then we're going to make a circle graph. And that's kind of our deal with line graphs, too. We're going to read one and then make one. I'm not going to use colors on this circle graph one. If you'd like to use colored pencils, you could pretty easily. So just move on the left or the right side. Alright, so go ahead and get that glued in. Give it a little bit of time here. It's impressive how that turned out. It's like the perfect consistency for slime. Yeah. Worked out really well. All right, so glue that in. All right, in our circle graph here, I missed the titles today, so we need to title things. Forgot to write those in. All right, so as we take a look at the circle graph, it says we have housing, savings, food, clothing, insurance. What do we think this maybe is showing? Charges. What did you say? House? Yeah, it says housing.
Family bills.
Family bills, yeah, it's like our annual budget or our annual spending. How much we're doing each year, or maybe even each paycheck. So I'm going to write annual spending. Annual means what again? Nah. Annual means it happens every year. That was a good use of your context of trying to guess. Annual spending, so how much spending we're doing each year. So we have housing. What might be housing costs?
$800 a month.
You're right, but what would it be like considered as, what might people call housing?
Bills like water.
Good, like your water bills, your heating, electricity.
Wi-Fi. What if they live in an apartment?
Good, so what if you live in an apartment? What do you call that bill?
Rent.
Rent. Yeah, you have your rent, you might have your mortgage, maybe your insurance. Oh, insurance is a different one. Okay, what is auto?
It automatically
No. You're right, that'd be auto pay. And this one, when we see auto, if we're talking about our car payment, okay, and maybe like oil changes or anything where we have to fix our car. What about entertainment? What would be in that spot? TV, so if you're streaming services.
TV, the zoo, the movies, the mall.
Do you go to all these places? You have so many entertainment ideas.
Miss, who spend 13% of their money on entertainment?
I don't know, maybe, well, like Hulu. Like nowadays, you have to get all the streaming services. You have to have Hulu and Apple and Disney and Netflix.
Miss, there's websites for that. Spotify.
Maybe some people are law-abiding citizens.
F.movies.
Okay. All right. So for our mode, which one are we spending the most amount of money on? Housing. Which is generally the overall, that's mostly what most of your money is going to go towards. Especially these days, if you're ever going to buy a house. I learned that very quickly. When you buy a house and you have a mortgage, you got to pay that off. It's a lot. Yep, 4 years ago. Still a lot of money that we pay every month. Most of our money goes towards our house. Okay? My husband and I. We don't have kids.
Are you married?
Yep, I'm married. Maybe. We'll see.
She don't want to. She want to adopt me.
All right, so you know me so well, Camille. We're going to do this word problem. If you make $32,000 a year, so if you make $32,000, and we're going to just assume that's per year, how much money goes towards clothing?
Oh, 500, 600, 700.
We're going to use the circle graph.
It depends on where you shop. Like if you shop at Shein, you'll be good.
Right. So whoever this graph is about, they spend 15% of their money on clothing. Which is kind of a lot, but maybe they have like some small children. When you have little kids, kids grow fast. You have to go shopping like every couple months. You have to buy new shoes for them, all that stuff. And sometimes you can't always do hand-me-downs for them because, I don't know, if you have an older brother or older sister that played hard and has holes and everything. Nowadays you buy jeans with holes in them, but sometimes you don't want holy ones.
That was hilarious.
So funny. Like the greatest teacher ever. Just kidding. Okay, so whoever this person is, this is just their spending. They spend 15% on clothing. So we're going to do 15% of how much total? Yeah, how much money did they make out of 100%? 32,000. In our calculator in Desmos, when we use the percent sign, it automatically puts in that word of. It's really cool. So if I type that in 15, and then I do that percent, Desmos always does that word of. If you're not using Desmos, you need to do multiplying or you need to times. So whichever word is going to remind you to do that. You could either write multiply or you could write times. So 15% of 32,000. So whoever this is, they spend $4,800 on clothes. Yeah, right? That's kind of a lot. So they're probably not using Shein, first off, or going to like Savers, which is where I go because that's nice. Yeah, 4800. But G kind of got in there. But I would assume, hopefully, either this person, maybe they got a new job and they needed new like business clothes for their job. Sometimes when you get hired out of college, your college clothes don't cut it for your new job, depending on what you are. So you might need to go buy new clothes for your new job that you have. You might have kids that you need to buy clothes for. Or maybe you just like to buy clothes. So maybe this person, clothing is really important to them. It's what makes them happy. They like looking nice, and they spend money on clothes. That's fine. People can do that. It's their money. All right, that's the first one. Second one here, we're going to create our circle graph based on our data. So in this data, we don't have the question, or we don't know what we were collecting it about. What was maybe the question for this one? If these are our answers. So we had to collect this data, and these are our answers. We have 5 blue, 1 red, 8 green, 2 yellow. What maybe was the question that we were asking or that we were collecting about to get those answers? Like, what's your favorite color, right? And then 5 people said blue, 1 said red. Maybe we were seeing what color t-shirt you were wearing today. Yesterday we had a lot of people wearing green for mental health. What? Yesterday was the mental health day. We were all wearing green, right? Normally on Fridays we see a lot of blue and red. Maybe you're counting the colors of the cars driving by, things like that. What do you guys want?
Who's gonna pull up in a green car?
Like a dark green.
Me, miss. I'm gonna buy a green and yellow card just to keep it different.
8 green cars. I haven't seen one in a month.
It's been a while, you're right. All right, so let's do with favorite colors, because that seems probably the most likely. All right, and we're going to make a circle graph, so do your best to draw your circle. It's okay if it's not perfect. If you're really good at drawing circles, you can enter in competitions. And whoever draws the most perfect circle without using anything other than just a pencil in their hand gets money. Did you know that?
Oh, it cheats on me.
Can't cheat.
Miss, I think I just won.
That's pretty good.
I know.
All right, so as we look at this, when we do our circle graph, we need these percents. And to know the percents, we need to know our part to our whole. So we need to figure out what is our total amount. So how would I find total? Good, add. So if you need to write that little plus sign there, remind yourself when you look back how we got the total, we add. 5 plus 1 is 6. What's 8 plus 2? 8 plus 2 is 10. So 10 plus 6? 16. All right, so for our percents, we're going to use that fraction. So for blue, it was 5 out of 16. But remember, to make it a percent, we multiply by what? 100. So I'm just going to write that in this first one just to remind us how to do it in our calculators.
Where do we get
All right, when you do it in Desmos, what's really nice is once you type it in once, you can just kind of keep it in there and you don't have to retype everything many times. All right, let's round to the nearest whole percent today, so no decimals. So if I want no decimal, would I round this to 31% or 32%?
31?
Got 31%. All right, then I have 1 out of 16. And I'm just going to say equals. I'm not going to write that times 100. If that's going to help you to remember what to put in your calculator, do that. In Desmos, I can just delete that 5, put in a 1, and I get my next number. If we round, are we going to keep it at 6% or up to 7%? 6%. 8 out of 16. Some of you might be able to do that one without the calculator. Because what is 8 out of 16 really? That's half. And half of 100 is 50%. And then lastly, we have yellow, which is 2 out of 16.
2%. 10.
Got 12.5. So are you going to round that to 12 or 13? When it's 5 or higher, we round up, so 13. Now, sometimes when we round, things get a little goofy here. And so we want to make sure that when we add these together, what should be our total percent?
12.5.
No. Out of all of the parts together. 100%. So sometimes when we round, a percent gets lost. So it's a good idea just to go back and double check that when we add them, do we get that 100%? Yep, so we're good in this one. Normally it's when we have a lot of different answers that gets a little goofy. So that's good. All right, we're not going to create, when we create our circle graph, we could take out a ruler and a compass and a protractor and make this super professional. Today we're just going to estimate. Normally when you make a circle graph or a pie chart, you would use a Google app or your Microsoft Excel, things like that. So normally we aren't drawing these by hand anymore, but this is just good practice for us just to think about our percents. So which one would be the easiest to show first? 31%, 6%, 50%, or 13%? Why would 50% be the easiest? Because it's half. So I'm just going to cut that circle down the middle to the best of my ability. And that is my blue. Because we're doing it by hand, this for sure today would be nice to put in that percent there so that our reader knows that's 50%. All right, I like to go just biggest to smallest. So next I have 31%. I'm going to lightly draw, and if I cut this half down the middle in half, how much is each of those? 25%. I need 31%, so make it a little bit bigger. Oh, you guys.
Yes, I'm so confused.
What was 50%? Green.
You messed us up.
Well, that happens some days. Okay, so green is 50%. What's the 31%? Blue. Now we have this little part here left over, and in that part we have a 13% and a 6%.
Yeah.
We have a 13% and a 6%. So which one needs to be bigger? 13%. And 13 is about double the 6. So we want it to be, we don't want it to be right in the middle. We definitely want it to look like one is smaller than the other. Right. And the smallest one is going to be the 6%, the red. And then the bigger one out of those two is going to be yellow. So depending on where you drew your line, you might have yours flipped. Sometimes after you draw your line, you realize that things were a little backwards, and that's okay. All right, you guys are crushing this. How are we feeling? Good? Making sense? Feels a little like review? A little new?
Are we done?
No, we got line graphs. All right, line graphs are soups easy. You guys are going to crush this. All right, so I'm going to go to my next page because then I just have my definition with my examples. If you wanted to, if you have enough room to write your definition, you could, and then your examples on the next page. I'm just going to go to the next page. Just makes it more sense. All right, so next up we have line graphs. What do you think line graphs are going to look like? What? How'd you know? It's in the name. All right, so a line graph is really used to display that didn't make sense. Okay, a display to show the trend over time. And that over time is kind of our key part of a line graph, that we're comparing everything over time. So what's happening as time progresses? That's really when we use a line graph, is that over time part. Not always, but most of the time. Usually. All right, and what's nice about line graphs is we can use either numerical or categorical. But it's kind of goofy because the categorical still deals with numbers. It's kind of both. It's a little silly. All right, you're going to get your next glue in. So glue it on this page. It's pretty quick. Like I said, once we get it glued in, it won't take us too long. Alright, so take a moment, glue those in.
I got nice on speed down, stop it. Got nice on speed down, bro. I'm about to miss up. It's cloudy. What gloves? What gloves? What gloves?
Anything, with the book. Now you.
They don't claim you, bro. They don't
Yes,
claim
they
you.
do.
Claim you. Just cause you're Irish friend doesn't even claim you, bro.
Yeah, yes, they do. What's that?
You know my phone is not right. Stay in the left. Stay in the left. Is that?
Alright, so get that glued in.
I've never went to the bus a day in my life.
Nice and relaxed today. Alright, this isn't going to take us too long. As we go through this next one, I'm going to use 2 colored pencils. If you'd like to use, you could also use 2 highlighters.
No, I don't want to mind.
Alright, this one goes by pretty fast. We just have a couple word problems we're going to do, and then we are going to make 1 line graph at the end. Alright, so as we take a look, again, I forgot the title. This title should be, based on what you notice, what do you think the title is going to be? We have weeks and number of books sold. So this is going to be our book sales. Alright, so what's happening to our book sales over time? As the weeks go on, what's happening to our sales? It goes down every time? No, it starts by going up. So like we released a new book, some people bought it, word got out, people are like, read this book, or people stopped at the bookstore and were like, oh, here's a new book, I'm going to try reading it. Then it stays the same. And then what happens? Goes down, stays the same, goes down. But in week 7, it pops back up. If overall things are going down, why would it pop back up? Yeah, it's not as high as it was before. Maybe it dropped a little bit. Maybe they were running out of books and they needed to order more. Sometimes you have like book signings, or maybe a celebrity posted on Instagram, read this book, and people went and bought it, and then it goes down way at the end. So it doesn't look like it was a very good book, but we'll see. Alright, so we're going to ask 2 questions with this one, and then we're going to make our own line graph. So first question is, how many books were sold week 6? How many books were sold week 6? Alright, so as I take a look at this, I'm going to use a colored pencil. If you'd like to use a highlighter, you could too. When I look at week 6, am I going to be looking at my x-axis or my y-axis? Where would I find week 6? Good, on my x-axis. So I'm looking down here at this 6. So I'm going to really color code that. That week 6 is that 6 there. And then I'm going to use my sight line here. So this is something that we wouldn't actually draw on the graph, but this is where we're looking, is as a 6, I would work my way up to where it hits that point. And then I'm going to look over to see how much that is. And again, that's something that most of you probably do already, but just taking that moment to realize where the 6 weeks are and finding that point. So how many books did we sell in week 6? 60. Is that a knock or is that somebody on the table? Okay, just making sure. All right, last one. This one is what week were 90 books sold? What week were 90 books sold? So I'm going to switch colors. So just grab a different color here. This is all we're using our colors for today. It shouldn't take us much. This time I'm looking for 90 books. And in our graph here, it's pretty obvious because if I think I'm going to look at my x-axis, can we find 90? No. But the bottom is the weeks. So my 90 books is going to end up being on the y-axis here. All right, so as I take a look at that, I'm going to zoom in for a moment. Where would I find 90 on my y-axis?
Under 100.
80 and 90.
Good. What is my axis counting by? It looks like it's counting by 20s. That's how they labeled it, but what does each line actually represent? 10, because of each line in the middle. So here is my 90. If you want to write 90 next to it. And again, our sight line this time is going to go across. And we're looking at these 3 major points that hit that line. It does hit 90 books in between week 1 and week 2, but we're looking at our total end of the week sales. So which weeks did we sell 90 books? 4, 5, 7. All right, last problem. Deep breaths. We got this. All right, it says, as a salesman or saleswoman, salesperson, you kept track of how many cars you sold each day for 1 week, Monday through Friday. So you only worked Monday through Friday. We're going to assume that each of these days, each of these numbers go in order. So Monday was 7, Tuesday was 5, Wednesday was 1. What's happening with our numbers here? It starts by going down, and then it goes back up. Why would it go down as the week starts? Why do you think people don't want to buy cars on a Wednesday? Yeah, usually Wednesdays are like a really busy day. You're midweek, maybe you're tired. But by Friday, if you're going on a trip and you're like, shoot, we need a new car. Just kidding, that's not usually how it happens. But also, sales usually happen on the weekends. So if we're going to buy a car, you want to buy it on sale. All right, so to start off with, we're going to do our X and our Y, so leave a little space here, a little gap. So our Y, we're going to go down, I don't know, that much. And then across. All right, along the bottom always goes our time, how we're measuring that time that we're looking at. So in this case, how are we measuring time? Is it by days, months, years? Days. And we actually are doing Monday through Friday. So we could do like 1, 2, 3, 4 for days of the week. But we can actually write M for Monday. So Monday, Tuesday, I'm going to do a TU so we don't get mixed up with Thursday. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I do need to label this so that whoever is reading it knows what those random letters are for. Most people who speak English, and I labeled this in the English letters, or English words, would probably guess, oh, in that order, it probably means the days of the week, right? But just in case, we want to make sure we label that days. So that goes along our x-axis. What's going to go along our y-axis? Yeah, the numbers, how much we sold. So our lowest is 1, and we have to get all the way up to 7. So what should we count by to go from 1 to 7? Yeah, just ones. I didn't do 7 lines here, so I'm going to do like half marks here. So this would be 1, and then this is 2. Because I didn't do 7 whole lines. If you did 7 whole lines, go ahead and count by ones there. I didn't, so I didn't leave enough space. So I have 3, then this would be 4, 6, 7, and 8. So I'm doing half in between those notebook lines. You have to go to 8 for sure, or 7. If you counted by the actual lines and yours goes up higher, that's fine. And what do these numbers represent? Is it the hours we sold them, how many we sold them, the number of people we sold them to? Yeah, how many? So it's the number of what? What? Cars. So number of cars. And we need an overall title. What is this graph going to show us? Car sales. All right, to start a line graph, we're going to start by just plotting points. And then at the end, we'll do the lines. We never want to do the lines as we connect points because then we get them too big or too small. So Monday, we have 7. Tuesday is 5. Wednesday is 1. Then it starts to be the weekend. Maybe they start a new sale. Thursday goes up to 3. And Friday is 6. Now, preferably, you would use a straight edge to draw your lines in. So if you want to grab a ruler, you can. If you're going to just draw it by hand, that's fine, but you want to make sure it looks like it's going from one day to the next day. There's not really space between. He's not coming into work in between Monday and Wednesday, or Monday and Tuesday. It's Monday is one, and then Tuesday is the next. So that's why using those straight lines is nice, is because it kind of shows that we're just jumping around. It's from point to point. There isn't anything kind of in between days. It's just from one day to the next day. All right, that's it for notes. You guys crushed that. I know that was a lot of notes. Monday, we're going to be taking a pause from notes, and we'll do a practice on Monday. There is a quick check today. It's really quick, so I know that we have about 15 minutes. Everyone should be able to finish it within 5. I am going to update grades today, so if you have anything missing, today would be a really good day to get that in and get it finished. You guys crushed that. Nice work. I know that was a really long set of notes. Thank you for paying attention. You guys were amazing today. Make me feel like a good teacher today. All right, rest of the time is for you to work. Quick check shouldn't take you too long. I bought this case. Doing your quick check, especially before a weekend, is really important because taking 2 days off from math can make your brain just forget everything. So doing your quick check today is going to be a good choice.
So what happened on Sunday?
Forget everything. So we spent so long in the school year. Shouldn't take you long at all to do it though. Monday we'll have one of those Google tests that tells you if you're right or wrong as you go.
Someone actually gave me.
Júralo, toma, júralo.
Bueno, fue sin querer. Fue porque no la vi.
What are you?
I want. Wait, no. I thought that one too last.
Probably not the orange juice.
You're
But
wide.
there's no shot. let's
Y la
figure out
prueba
after
lunch,
donated
solo
oranges from breakfast if anyone wants it. Ooh, matches. That's like a perfect match.
You should listen to that song, it's so good.
¿Cómo se llama la canción?
What is the work opportunity tax credit for?
Let me come look.
Does this thing come in April? Oh, it's old.
New year, I mean new month.
Aguántala en vivo, es que una de las que es rochizo.
Yo. Loser. You good?
Oh no.
Christian.
En vivo, en vivo.
So every year you guys form and they'll say how much money you made. And then you get it, and then you file taxes. Either they say, oh, they took too much from you, and they give you more tax, or they say, oh, but since you're young, at some point you're using it.
Right? 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 Just say yes or no. Just say yes or no. I don't want this kid to say, you don't want to say yes or no. Say yes or no. No, you said.
Say no. Just say no.
No. Just say yes or no.
Just say no. What is that?
Okay, right? You can only say yes. You can only say yes one and no one. Okay? Are you
Wait. Let me try. Yes. No. Oh, fuck! I thought it was on something.
Lánzalo,
Oh,
lánzalo.
yeah.
Online que diga.
Ruby, did you read that?
Lánzalo.
You can say yes or no on the line thing.
Last year.
I just was wondering if it worked out.
Ay, coño. Quítalo.
Tiene la mano caliente, por eso es.
Esa vaina.
I will be updating grades today, so it'll be a good time for you to check Skyward, get any written assignments done.
Cacueñema.
Es que tiene la mano caliente.
You can't move your arm and flip it. You have to do something and flip
Ay,
it.
se calma todo.
This is so easy. No te vayas.
¿Qué pasa si se queda?
Dale así, toma.
¿Qué pasa si se queda?
What's wrong with his stomach? He's the only bad.
Esa mano fría, ponerla.
O sea, no me pega.
Le pusiste
Vete a la mano.
Entonces, ahora como se dice, me? Detergent? Yeah, había pensado que
I would have been to
y nada,